Hey, Grace House Churches, hopefully you have enjoyed dinner, and now we can have a conversation about biblical masculinity. So last week we covered what is marriage and God's good design for marriage, and next week we'll talk about wives, but this week we talked about husbands. And so in order for us to navigate the space of what is a good husband, we ask what is a good man? What's a biblical vision for manhood? So in Genesis 2, God creates a man, puts him in a garden, gives him the ability to cultivate and keep the garden, to protect it, to provide for it. And before sin enters the world or Eve enters the world, he has responsibility. Eve comes into the story. She has a conversation with the serpent, eventually is deceived into eating the fruit. And Adam is right there the whole time. And so we started the sermon by saying the first sin was not Eve being deceived or Eve rebelling. It was Adam's passivity. And because of that truth, sin has twisted manhood into two extremes, passivity or aggression. We have men who are not living into what God's called them to, or men who are using their strength to harm and to be authoritarian and unapproachable and powerful in the worst ways. And then the invitation was to just recognize that and to reject the passivity of Adam and to receive the sacrificial leadership of Christ. In Ephesians 5, men are commanded 7 times to love their wives, but really it's one command with 7 expressions. And so we took those and said we are to love our wives sacrificially, sanctifyingly, and selflessly. Sacrificially means we give up our good for the sake of another. We give up our strength and our power for the sake of another. And that means not just in the ultimate sense of being willing to die for our family. It means willing to sacrifice our schedule, our pride, our energy, our emotions, our finances for the sake of our wives and our family. And that we should be the lead sacrificers in our home. We should be the lead repenters in our home. We should be the lead servants in our home. Because Christ-like leadership is not control, it's covering. It's not a throne, it's a cross. And that's modeled in sacrifice because Christ gave himself up for us. Second was sanctifyingly, which means we're loving our wives towards Christ-likeness, that we will present our bride one day before Christ. And the ask is that we would wash her in the water of the Word. So we should be men of prayer, men of the Word, men of church, men of house church, that we make this a discipline because we've been given spiritual influence. And then lastly was selflessly, that we should give ourselves away to provide and protect for our families. And basically what that means is that we as husbands are to stand between our home and anything that would come against our home. Whether that's spiritual attack, physical attack, emotional attack, like that we provide peace, we provide protection in that sense. And when we live in that, by God's grace, we recognize we're not walking in it. We recognize our sin, we can repent of our sin, and we can move towards Jesus in belief. But fellas, this is a high call. This is not complicated, but it's incredibly difficult. And so my hope is that men would start to live this way. And when they do it, God would lead things to flourishing. And so hopefully we can have a conversation where we talk honestly about how men are doing and how we can grow and what our experience has been like. All of that without losing the vision that this is God's good design. And when we live into it, it leads to flourishing.